Hello everyone. It's certainly been a lot longer than I thought it would be. A lot of things came up like school and, well, I just didn't have the drive to do this. Last week, or month, I said that I wanted to tell a story that I've been wanting to tell for quite a while. It was an interesting one that I learned about one of my great uncles, and it is one of the main reasons why I put the warning on my last video. That if you seek some of these things out, then they can and will find you. Now, I won't be mentioning my great uncle's name during the story, or any of the people involved, except for one, of course. But without further ado, let's get into it. So my uncle was a very religious man. Even from a young age, then he was brought up in a religious family. His father and mother both were part of the same religion as each other, and he too took part in that. My uncle made sure he went to church every Sunday, and he helped everyone there that he could, his family, his friends, and he enjoyed spending time with them. And everyone I talked to about him said that he was one of the best people that they knew, where if they had a problem, then they could ask him for help and he'd be there to help them, whether it was moving or doing some yard work, construction on their house, then they could ask him for help and he would be there. And having that kind of person around is a great benefit to not only the people, but also to the person doing it. It helps them have the drive to help other people. But one day in church, then an interesting subject was brought out, and someone was talking about how if you wanted to, you could see things from the other side if you asked for it. And if you were spiritual enough, if you had enough faith, then you could see something from the other side. And the thought of seeing actual proof with his own eyes intrigued my uncle. Now his faith was strong and unshakable, but everyone is curious about things that they haven't seen, and my uncle was no exception. And so he thought about that for a few days, and then weeks, and then months. And he kept thinking about it. He couldn't quite shake the feeling. So eventually he just decided that, hey, you know what, I'll just ask. I'll just pray to the Lord and ask him if he'll let me see something from the other side. And so then he began to ask the Lord in his prayers. And it was over a month of him praying and asking and striving to be able to see a sign from the other side. And that is the kind of patience that is needed for something like this. Uncle could have done without seeing it, but it was simply a favor that he was asking for. And so after nearly a month of him asking, then one day his prayer was answered, and it was a yes. He had the feeling that his prayer was answered, and that night, or the next time he said his prayers, he would receive that opportunity. And you can imagine his excitement. He kept thinking about it that day, and he went through his day doing his job, doing the stuff that he was supposed to. But he kept thinking about that, and he was excited. You know, whenever you see a child the day before Christmas, then they're all excited and they can't hardly sleep. But as the time approached, then he got a little nervous, just a little bit, because he didn't ask to see just some random thing from the other side. Oh no, he asked to see the devil himself. And so when the time was approaching, he got just a little bit worried. He asked the Lord to give him the strength to overcome anything that may happen during this meeting. And finally, the time came. He knelt on the ground and prayed. And the first thing he asked was for the Lord's protection and for his help and strength, taking the fear out of his heart, because fear is the absence of faith. And if you don't have faith in front of Satan himself, and you opened the door to Satan, then there is little that can be done for you. So he wanted to be in the right state of mind when he stopped praying. And finally, he ended his prayer. And he looked up, and Satan was standing before him. Now this little meeting only lasted for about 2 seconds before my uncle called on the name of the Father and the Son, and he sent Satan away. Most people might wonder why he didn't talk to him, you know? Having somebody who was there since the very beginning of the world, he probably had a lot of knowledge. He could ask him about why he did things the way he does. But the reason my uncle gave for not doing those things is that he said when Satan appeared before him, then it felt like he was an ant standing next to a skyscraper, and he could feel Satan's power from his presence alone, and that it shook him up pretty good, but it made his faith stronger. He knew that he would do anything not to be subject to that being, but he said that there was something he didn't expect when he met Satan. He said, you know, most modern depictions of Satan show him as this great evil beast that you would know he was evil just from looking at him, and that it would be terrible and horrible, and your eyes would just never want to see something like that again. But he said that wasn't the way Satan looked. He said if you put Satan next to the most beautiful person that you've ever found on the earth, Satan would far outclass him. He said he didn't know how to describe him other than beautiful. And one thing that makes me think about is that Satan is the spiritual embodiment of what sin looks like. On the outside, it's tempting, and you think that it might be something good. If you're trying to go on a diet or something and you see ice cream, I myself like ice cream a lot, so that's the example I use. But you see that ice cream and it looks delicious and you're like, oh man, I really want to eat that ice cream. And then you do it, but then you fail your diet. And that's what sin is. It looks like it might be good on the outside, but on the inside it is rotten to its core. One thing I will say about it is that my uncle did not want to see Satan again, no matter how beautiful he looked. He may not have looked like a horrible, evil beast, but my uncle said he could tell right away just by looking into his eyes that there was no mercy there. There was no love, no kindness, and no pity. He said that the most monstrous thing that he had ever seen, whether works of fiction or a comic or a cartoon, Satan with all of his beauty was more monstrous than all of it. Monsters in movies just want one thing, and that's to kill you. But Satan, well, he wants to kill your soul. So that is the end of my uncle's experience. I know not everyone believes in Satan, and I know not everyone will believe this account. Obviously, there's probably quite a few made up stories about these things, but I believe it. And as always, everyone else is free to believe what they wish as well. But there is one positive thing that you can take from all of this about Satan being the way that he is, and that is that all the murderers, the thieves, and other people who don't get caught by the law, they will have someone far worse than anything that we could possibly do in this life after they die. And no one will escape that judgment. Whether you've done good or bad, you will be judged according to your own actions, not what anyone else has done. So what I'm saying is that after you die, everything will be fair. But that is the end of this video. I thank you for being patient while waiting for this video to come out. It was most definitely a longer pause between videos than I thought it would be, but I appreciate everyone who stuck around and waited for it to come out. But if you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if there are any subjects that you yourself are interested in that I may know about, or that I would like to study so that I can make a video on that. And until the next one, I'll see you.